5:30 p.m. I call the Mount Morris Township Board meeting to order. Would you please rise for the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Ms. King. Ms. Nora.
Present.
Ms. Loper.
Present.
Mr. Baxter.
Present.
Mr. Green.
Present.
Myself present. Mr. Mays.
Present.
Donna.
Present.
All present.
Well, without objection, I would like to have an item moved to the top of the agenda.
Okay, will you wait until we get to that, please?
Oh,
Thank you.
usually after roll call, that's how that's handled.
Approve agenda for the board meeting for December the 9th.
So move.
Support.
Yes, ma'am?
Ready for me now? Okay. I would like to move an item, treasury request to hire Dorothy Johnson as full-time cashier according to the GELC contract. And then I'd also like to amend that to be instead of hire, transfer. And then also, it was brought to my attention on Friday, which was prior to our board packets going out, that I'm going to have a staff out the rest of this week. And so I'm looking at hiring also a full-time temporary cashier to fill in until my other employee will return from family medical leave, which is scheduled to be January 25th, 2025. So, and I have that resume for you to look at too. Okay.
So you're requesting to move items up on the agenda and you're
Just one
requesting
An addition,
an addition.
an up and an add, yes.
Okay, I told the board that we would not do that.
I was just informed on Friday that I was losing a staff member for the next 3 days.
You don't work on Fridays.
Well, our Friday, Thursday. That was the last time she gave me all of her information for her time off over the next 3 months. And she's gone this week. I need someone in office.
We gave you Sonia Burns to use as a
Sonia Burns is
cashier.
who is going to be gone the next 3 days. Here. Would you pass these down, please? That's it for me.
I have a motion on the floor to approve the agenda with the addition of adding the additional part-time person.
Full-time temporary cashier.
Speak up a little bit.
Full-time temporary cashier. Temporary until January 21st, 2025.
They want us to speak in these minds. Support.
We already have a motion and a support. She's adding those to the agenda. Is there any further discussion in regards to the agenda? Roll call.
Ms. King. Ms. Dora.
Yes.
Ms. Loper.
Yes.
Mr. Baxter.
No.
Mr. Green.
No.
Myself, no. Mr. Mays.
Yes.
Ms. King.
Yes.
Motion carried 4-3.
Need a motion to approve the minutes of the board meeting on November the 25th, 2024.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Have a motion by Baxter, supported by Loper, to approve the minutes of the board meeting of November the 25th. Is there any discussion in regards to the motion? Roll call.
Ms. Loper,
Yes.
Mr. Baxter,
Yes.
Ms. Green,
Yes.
myself, yes. Mr. Mays,
Yes.
Ms. Jana,
Yes.
Ms. Dora,
Yes.
motion carries 7-0.
Need a motion to approve payment of the bills from 11/21 through 12/10 of 2024 in the amounts of $265,770.44. What's your pleasure?
So moved.
Have a motion by Loper, supported by Mays, to approve payment of the bills from 11/21 through 12/10 of 2024 in the total amount of $265,770.44. Is there any further discussion on the motion?
Yes, sir, if I may. Just to ask our treasurer if there were any concerns of yours that stood out to you, because I know there was in the last bunch of bills that were paid.
Right, with the packet. What's important with these bills when they come through is that I have access to the invoices so I can see what we're paying exactly. I don't have any issue with paying those said bills, and then we can go through the approval process the following month because they will have been approved. But to have access to invoices and to see what's being spent so I can spot check and make sure it's accurate.
And actually, Supervisor, I believe this is something we brought up in the last term, where BSNA would allow us not only to know who was written a check, but what that money was for. Because sometimes if we get an individual's name or a business or something, we don't rightfully know what it is that we're paying for. And if we could get that information, for everything that's spent, it surely would be helpful. I've also asked in the past that we be allowed to see payroll also, more than just who got paid what, so that can be broke down for us. If we're going to govern and know what we're spending our money on, I think not just knowing the amount and who it was written to, but specifically what it was for would be very helpful.
I'll research that with legal counsel and see what we can do on that.
I appreciate that.
The BSNA also has the capability, if you receive an invoice, we are spending a lot of money on this technology. Those invoices can be scanned into the system. That way, anybody with access to the payables receipting can do a quick lookup. I think that would be most helpful for our finance director as well. So I know some of the invoices come in, they're stacks and stacks and stacks. It could be time consuming, but some of them are very simple little register receipts
Mhm.
and things that could be scanned in pretty quickly.
And it may take some time, I agree, to put it in the system, but then it becomes available to us so much readily.
At least just begin the process.
Exactly.
We will check into that. And
Thank you, sir.
any further question in regards to payment of the bills? Roll call.
Mr. Baxter,
Yes.
Mr. Green,
Yes.
myself, yes. Mr. Mays,
Yeah. Yes.
Ms. Jana,
Yes.
Ms. Dora, Ms.
Yes.
Loper,
Yes.
motion carries 7-0.
At this time, we set aside public comments on agenda items only. Anyone wishing to address the board in regards to public comments? Please state your name, your address, your concern.
Good evening to the board. I am Jolena Sims, 5432 Sarah's Drive, and I am a resident of Mount Morris Township. And there's 4 things on the agenda I have a concern about. One of the things is look like supervisor request to hire Stephanie Miles, union employee level, I think 3.8. I'm not understanding. When I wanted to hire Ms. Johnson as my person, there were several board members and one former board member that's no longer with us said I couldn't do that. That's not a union position. That's what I was told. We talked about that several times. I was told it's not a union position. So how can you bring her in on a position that's not a union position? The other thing, Madam Treasurer, have you released her yet? Because she works for you.
I have not.
She works for you. And until you release her, she still works for you. Then the other thing that we have that's going on is that I see that you have termination of Mrs. Johnson from the supervisor's department. Now that's his department. He have a right if that's what he wants to do. But when Ms. Johnson was brought over to that department, myself and Mrs. Armstrong met and we just swapped. Mrs. Johnson came to work for me. Mrs. Gilbert went over to the assessor's side. No one was terminated. So I'm a little bit confused with that. So you have to release her because she works for you, the treasurer. The other thing is I'm understanding that you guys are wanting to terminate Gary. Oh my goodness. He's the labor attorney. None of us know anything about labor. None of us know anything about that. I don't care how long we've been here. We hired Gary to help us with the labor. Gary only gets paid if we call him, if we text him, what have you. That's how Gary gets paid. He doesn't get a salary from us every week or every month. We call Gary. The clerk's department calls 100 times. I know I call probably that much. That's why his bills is so high with Gary. Board members, for the new ones, you guys need to pay attention and you need to really, really look to see what's going on. Because guess what? I'm on this side of the table now. So, hey, I got a lot of time. And I think it was just one more that I noticed that you guys had on here was, let me see. Johnson, Gary. And well, that was it. And Ms. Miles. So just remember, Ms. Miles still works for the Treasury Department, okay?
Anyone else wishing to make comments to the board, please? Under citizens' comments in regards to agenda items only.
Sir, you can just come up whenever.
Good evening. I was just coming to thank
Name, please.
Catherine Oliver, 6114 Neff Road. I reside in Mount Morris Township area. And I attended little Christmas get together at the fire station.
That's not an agenda item.
Okay.
Anyone else with public comments in regards to agenda items? Anyone else in regards to public comments under agenda items? Close public comments under agenda items. Next thing on the agenda, since we moved it up, is full-time. Mrs. Johnson?
Full-time temp, okay, sure. Oh, full-time temp person. That was
Okay,
added.
for Jean Johnson?
Yes, ma'am.
Yep. Jean Johnson's been working in my office for the past 2 weeks. She's been very critical in making sure that the residents are receiving service for our tax season right now. And I need a full-time person to help me get through this tax season. So I propose to bring her in through the GELC contract where she was basically as a transfer employee. And based on the contract that I'm looking at, if an employee transfers on page 13 of the contract, if the employee transfers from one department to another, said employee shall carry his or her classifications and seniority to the new department. She also, it's at the employer's discretion to hire and place employees at a higher grade step, depending on prior experience and qualifications. She was promoted under Miss Sims. So that's something that I feel strongly about keeping her at her current pay rate. Let's see, as we cannot harm an employee by reducing their pay. That's fundamental. So that's what I propose, is hiring her back in as full-time cashier in my department.
You're making that a motion?
Hiring or
Yes.
transferring?
Transferring. So she will be working in my department as a full-time employee, union employee.
You made the motion? Support?
Move to support, yes.
I made the support.
Questions?
I, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I
No,
don't.
no, I know one of the things that we had discussed and we talked about, was it in the budget?
Mhm.
Because it's been part-time for some years. Now all of a sudden we're going back over full-time.
Well, let me remind you that my department handles all incoming income for this township. Water, sewer fund, taxes, fees, everything else. So having at least one full-time employee here is critically important. I have no guarantee that the other person who is out on sick leave is going to return. And that's why I'm asking for a part-time temporary person to manage her duties. And I do have at least half of the water sewer fund that I can put toward all of my employees' expenses. So there's no issue with budgetary coverage at this point.
So you have can you lay it out for us, Jonna? You have a full-time employee that's out.
Yes,
You have a part-time employee that was transferred to the supervisors, and then you have now Ms. Johnson
yes.
as a temporary right now until we decide tonight. And
She's transferred over for the past 2 weeks
For the
to help
okay.
cover. Yes,
2 weeks, and she's been working full-time.
yes,
And if the other full-time were to come back, then you would have 2 full-time
correct.
in
And
your
then my
department?
temporary person would then be
Let go
gone.
of.
Yes.
Yes.
So then it would just be 2 full-time cashiers at the window.
And what we had before, I want to clarify, what we had before was 1 full-time and 1 part-time.
Right.
And now we want 2 full-time. And
Yes.
is that in the budget? May
Yes.
we ask?
It's not in the present budget. The present budget that we are under was built with a full-time cashier
And a
and a
part-time.
part-time cashier.
But that can be amended.
You can
To
always
its
amend the
original-
budget, but the question is it in the contract year? No. Because it was a part-time.
Through March, the end of
Can
March,
March
am I correct?
31st.
Can we just
Correct.
ask our finance officer whether or not it can be amended and what it looks like? That way we won't be speculating as what's what.
Good evening, Supervisor Green, Township Board and residents. The question before me has been discussed with many of you on this body. There, especially the department heads that it directly impact. And so I'll answer it this way. The question, is it in the current amended budget? The answer, as I gave last meeting, is it is not. Has it traditionally been in the budget for Department 253? The answer is yes, it has been. Is there support in the other fund that the treasurer mentioned? There is wages in the sewer and water. Can the budget be amended? The budget will need to be amended for both hirings that is on the agenda tonight. Okay.
Thank you.
Attorney, I have 2 questions in regards to, number one, since Ms. Johnson was assigned as a at-will employee to the supervisor's office, I have to terminate her employment before we can hire her. Is that correct?
Well, my understanding is that this is being treated as a transfer, so I don't know that she needs to
Correct.
terminate.
But Ms. Johnson went on sick leave on November the 18th,
Mhm.
was not to return to work until December the 5th. The board at the last meeting made a motion to hire her in the cashier's department. The next day, she came in with the release from her doctor that she could return back to work. The board hires and the board terminates. I do not want her as my secretary, and that's the position that she held. She left a union position where she had seniority as a cashier. She was transferred into the supervisor's position as an at-will employee that says in her contract she can be terminated without cause. Because she was on sick leave, I could not terminate her. And because the board hires and fires, would she have to be terminated as the at-will employee in that department before she could be moved to the position of level 2 cashier? And the aspect is with her 2-year seniority that she has under the present contract, what you're paying her would not be what she is under the union contract. So it could be grieved that we violated the union contract because we brought her, you're out of order, ma'am. Please, thank you. So we'd be in violation of the union contract because we're moving her in at a higher wage than the union contract says we can. And that's a union position.
The union contract says,
It's a union position.
I'm looking at the union
Okay.
contract right here, and it says that we may hire or place employees at a higher grade step dependent on prior experience and qualifications. She's just transferring over from what she had
But
done
in
in
the
the
union
past.
contract, there isn't any that comes up to that wage
And
in that position.
here's another
I just need to interject right quick. And I know both you, Jonna, and Mr. Mays went on it. I need to put a little history on this. When Miss Jean came over to Mrs. Sims' office, the goal was to put her in the union. We were told that she could not go in the union. When we fought, at least I know Ms. Sims fought to have the position in the union. And we were told that it could not be in the union. So I'm just putting the history on there. We were told. So therefore, the reason she's in the position in the first place, because we were told, we asked and we said, no, it cannot go in the position. Now we can. I have no problem with Ms. Miles' job being in the union, but I do have a problem of us saying that she can't use her time over. She was already in the union.
Okay.
And it was not her fault that she was taken out of it.
To give you a little history in regards to the secretary in the supervisor's office, Mrs. Parker, who was hired when she graduated from high school, was Don Craple's supervisor.
Okay.
Don Craple was supervisor for 24 years.
Okay.
Bill Miller was the next supervisor. She was his secretary for 4 years, union member. After Bill Miller became Larry Foster,
Okay.
who was serving technically 16 years, but he passed in the 15th year.
Mm-hmm.
She was his secretary, member of the union. Paul Long came in and completed the term of Larry Foster. She was also his. I was elected, and for 12 years, she was my secretary, member of the union. When she retired, Amanda Probes was a union member, moved into that position as a union member. It's always been a union member. And I don't know
That's
who
what I
told
just
you
said.
she could not be a union member, but I've got 33 years with the township, not counting now.
I believe you.
She
They're
was a
supposed to be in
member
the
of the
union.
union.
I'm not arguing that. I'm just telling you. I wish we could find the notes where we were told we could not make it. Yeah. Well,
there's a provision in the GELC contract. Article 1 recognition. All employees of Mount Morris Township can be a part of the union unless they are elected officials, appointed officials, supervisory employees, or confidential employees. And if this is a confidential employee, then no.
Why should it be any different than what it was?
It's coming back. She was made a confidential employee. That was the loophole to which the executive administrative system was created, pertaining to Amanda. When she was given that title, that confidential.
Well, now we're talking about Stephanie's issue. I want to stay on Jean and getting her transferred
No, that's what we're
over.
talking about.
I just wanted to make it the record known. I'm not arguing. I think the position should be in the union. I think Stephanie's job should be in the union. I don't have a problem with that.
Right, but she can be transferred over back into
In
the
regards
union.
to the first question, I know you have to leave. Do I have to terminate her employment before we can hire her into that position?
And we're
Or
saying
is
I,
it
it
a
should be a we.
lateral transfer that we can do in, I eliminate the position because my understanding, I have to terminate her before she can go someplace else.
I think the cleanest way to do this is to end her employment and at the same time hire her in as the cashier.
But then
That's
what
I
about
think
her
is-
seniority?
What's that?
What about her seniority at that point?
My understanding is that when the position became at will, she was no longer a union employee. Seniority, basically, you keep it as long as you had it. And my understanding is that she's been out of position longer than she was in the position, so I don't think she keeps that seniority. That's my
what-
understanding.
It's not what the contract, as far as job transfers, if the employer transfers an employee from one department to another, said employee shall carry his or her classification or seniority with him or her to new department.
It's
But she
within
was-
union contracts.
Right, but she was removed from the union contract when she became this executive assistant, is my understanding.
She was.
That's correct. She was removed from the union. She froze her time with the union.
And
If she froze her time with the union, then it should be a matter of a
She
simple
was in the
transfer.
position longer, in the position as the supervisor, as a contracted employee,
Well,
longer than she was a union member.
my motion
And what
is
I
to
had-
transfer
It's
Jean.
under discussion, okay? And what I had moved her back into the union in regards to $43,722.81 a year salary. And that's under the union contract with 2 years seniority, which was more than she had when
And
she.
that's considered a pay cut to her, and that
It's not a pay
harms,
cut. She
that harms
moved,
an employee.
she moved
It's a pay
from the
cut from the
union.
township.
She moved from the union position that paid her less into the supervisor's position as the at-will employee secretary that paid her more than the union did. And now you're asking to move her back into the union at that same rate of pay, which violates the union contract.
No, it doesn't.
Under the pay scale, it violates a union contract for that position.
It does not. I disagree.
Ms. Sims, I'm going to ask you one more time, please refrain from interrupting. Thank you.
Does cutting her pay harm her?
Does it violate the union contract
No.
under the pay scale?
No.
Yes. After she's there, you have the right to do that with board approval.
I would ask the
Presently,
attorney for your opinion on what they're disagreeing on.
It sounds to me like even if you give her the seniority that she had, the pay scale in the contract has a number, and that's the number that she's entitled.
And it's in the union contract that this is what she would
If
be
she's
paid.
if she's being hired in as a union
I see.
contract employee, yes.
I
And
see.
you're granting her if you're granting her the 2 years of seniority that she served, even though it wasn't technically in a union position.
So if she goes to this union position with her 2 years seniority, it would, according to the union contract, make her pay not as much as it used to be when she was the assistant to the
Correct.
supervisor.
That's a pay cut, Dora, and that's doing harm to an employee.
It's not a pay
Plus,
cut because
we
the
may
position
hire
is
or
not a
place
union position.
employees at a higher grade step, starting year 1, 2, dependent on prior experience and qualifications. When she went over to work with Supervisor Sims, she received greater experience. She enhanced her qualifications she's overqualified for the job she's doing now. So I don't understand why you would want to harm her pay in that regard.
I'm not harming her pay.
Yes,
I'm
you are.
seeing what
You
the
don't agree
union
with her.
contract says her pay is.
My concern would be this, if I may, Supervisor, if we open this can of worms with the union contracts, every union employee is going to be saying the same thing. I believe, anyways, is that I want more money, and quite frankly, we have are consistently amending our budget so that we can pay what we have already agreed to pay. And that would be my concern. Does anybody have an answer for that? A solution for that? So that we don't have the other union members coming in and saying, well, I want this raise.
I just think that we have to, I think we have to follow the contract. I think it's going to get grieved if we don't.
I think
So-
it's going to get grieved if if we don't follow a transfer process.
I don't think
Well, we're gonna
it's
do
gonna-
a tra-
it- it
a
gets grieved by the
transfer.
Transfer.
When is their next pay increase? I don't have it in front of me.
31st of March. is the end
31st
this
of March.
contract.
We're working on the
Yeah,
new
Okay.
March
contract
31st
now.
is the end of
Which
this
would
contract.
bring her to where she is now on the 31st of March.
She'd moved to $44,815.88 on the annual wage.
On the 31st, Mr. Green,
When
Of
she
March?
hits her third
3-year mark.
3-year mark.
I got you.
Okay. But technically, in the union, she has about a year and 8.5 months seniority. And giving her the benefit of the doubt of 2-year seniority. And that's where I put her at under the level of the contract of the union contract, under her job specifications according to the union contract as a cashier.
So the next question I always get is, Mr. Ryan, is this considered a new employee? And does the probation and all that stuff start over?
I think that would,
Oh.
I'm just asking. It's just a general question. Make sure we.
It's
I
a
would-
legal
Well,
question. That's
on
a
page
legal,
12,
you're out of
it's-
order.
It's
You asked the
in
question.
your contract.
He asked the question to legal counsel. Please allow him a chance.
Need the contract?
believe the board can waive that probationary period if it sees fit.
Actually, section 4, if I may read it. Members who are promoted to a non-union position, seniority will be frozen from the date of the position is accepted if the person returns to this bargaining unit, which as a transfer she would. They do lose time. They were in the non-union position for the purpose of shift pick, vacation pick, promotion procedures, and layoffs. So they do come back to that where they started.
Mhm.
But in terms of pay, as a transfer, I feel like for a matter of fairness and not harming her when she's coming in and helping in a situation, I think
Only
that's
she took
wrong.
a position that was a non-union position for an increase in pay
She did.
from the union. Now, when she goes back into the union, we have to live with the union contract. Those are decisions that she made at the time she made those lateral moves. And those are the decisions that she made that would be paid according to the union contract.
It's at our discretion.
And my
Section,
discretion is I'm not willing to pay her that rate of pay. I'm
Appendix A,
going to
wages, number C,
follow
it's
the
at our
union
discretion.
Contract and what she should be paid at year 2 at level 2.
Another wrinkle that I can see just looking up, trying to find that section 4, but I noticed in Article 20, it talks about posting and for job positioning. So if we start doing this, I mean, we're going to get grievances because I don't know if the
this
position
position
was
was
posted.
posted.
Okay, that's all.
for
I just wanted to
7
make
days.
sure. All right, that's all. I just wanted to make sure.
The one for the supervisor, I don't believe was.
Any further discussion in regards to the motion?
Can we repeat the motion?
The motion is to hire
Transfer. Jen
Transfer.
Johnson to the treasurer's department as a full-time cashier with the GLC, bringing over her existing seniority, classification, and wages as to not do harm to the employee.
under what you would request under the agenda item was you requested to hire her, not transfer her.
I'm
hire her.
amending my motion.
And consequently, okay, that's the motion.
Before it hasn't been supported yet.
Yeah, so
Oh, gotta support it. I'm gonna support it. As unfair as I think this is, because it should have been a union position when she moved over. I do, and I'm the first one to say we have to be consistent. We do have to look at what the ramifications may be if we bring the pay. However, I will say this, she has the right to pursue that if that's what she wants to do. And by all means, maybe there is a loophole or something like that. But if we vote for it as a whole to make it happen from our end, then we probably will get grievances, or we will have some consequences behind that. But that does not stop you or Miss Jean from pursuing it. And if you feel like there's other avenues or some laws that we have missed, by all means do that. That's up to you. But as a body of the whole, we have to follow the contract. And I agree with transferring. She should not be terminated, and she should have all of the benefits of having the union contract. All of those things should be there, but we should follow where you put her at. What was it?
Level 2.
Okay, that's my thought. I'm one vote. That's my thought.
Any further discussion on the motion?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Aren't we in the process of union negotiations right now?
We are.
So it very well.
That's all I just need some clarification.
So it very well could go up anyway. Okay.
Any further discussion on the motion?
Before we do that, can I just ask a question before we take this
Yes, ma'am.
vote? If this vote, can we make another motion after this vote? If the vote, that's what my question is to you,
Motion
sir.
passes, it's in effect. If it's denied, other motions can be made.
Thank you, sir.
Any further discussion in regards to the motion? Roll call.
Mr. Green,
No.
myself, no. Mr. Mays,
No.
Ms. King, Jonna,
Yes.
Ms. Dora,
No.
Ms. Loper,
Oh.
Mr. Baxter.
No.
Motion
So
failed.
in light of this vote, I have no one to work tomorrow.
No. There needs to be made another motion
Yes, ma'am.
to transfer her into the position through the union. There is opportunities for you to pursue the matter further, and then negotiations have not been completed.
Mhm.
So that will still give you a full-time cashier and options to pursue higher wages. I think that needs the motion that needs to be made.
Is that your motion?
Yes, that's my motion.
Support.
So can you say it again? Say the motion again. That's all.
I make the motion
Okay.
not to fire Ms. Jean, but to transfer her to the position as a full-time cashier. She receives all of the union benefits as she should, and that's my motion. At a level 2 cashier
Mhm.
with 2 years seniority. 2 years seniority.
And the third year being her hire date next year.
Yes, that's the motion. Did you support that?
I did support that.
Okay.
And can we add to that, everything else is the same?
Well, once she's back in the union, she'll get all of the benefits anyway, if the motion passes.
So the motion is to transfer Ms. Johnson into the full-time position.
Yes.
As cashier with 2 years.
2 years seniority. Yes.
Okay. Which means we have 2 full-time cashiers.
Yes.
Which means
The budget needs to be amended.
This wouldn't be necessary if we had one that was here, but we have one out, completely out. She has to have staff. The
Well,
treasurer,
make
yeah,
the
the
motion.
treasurer's department has to have it, yeah.
There's a motion on the table. It's been supported, so.
There's discussion. So this
No, this is
further
afterwards.
discussion on the
This is
motion.
afterwards.
roll call. Ms. Loper,
Yes.
Mr. Baxter,
No.
Mr. Green.
No.
Myself, no. Mr. Mays,
Yes.
Ms. Jonna,
Yes.
Ms. King.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-3.
Question to legal counsel in regards to determination as the at-will employee.
I would consider the board's decision
Decision
there.
more than adequate, so there would be no action taken in regards to that?
Correct.
Thank you, sir.
And in effect, I would say that that makes that agenda item moot.
Thank you. Unfinished business. Insurance proposal. Joan John, you have to leave now, right?
Yes,
You're excused.
thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is John Johnson. I am with Acrisure Insurance. I was asked to come out and give you an update on the township's property and liability insurance renewal. I did not have anything in your packets.
We have to remove it from the table because it's unfinished business. Need a motion?
Make a motion to remove the insurance proposals from John Johnson off of, off the table.
Support.
Roll call.
Mr. Mays,
Yes.
Ms. Jana,
Yes.
Ms. Dora,
Yes.
Ms. Loper,
Yes.
Mr. Baxter,
Yes.
Mr. Green,
Yes.
myself, yes, motion carries 7-0.
So I do have a brief update on the status of the township's insurance. If I could go over that quickly, let you know where we're at and answer any questions you might have on the situation. So for those of you that are not aware, we are currently in your 2024 policy term. You have a 1/1 expiration date. Last year when I had come out, if you recall, your current carrier for the property and liability coverage had submitted a non-renewal notice. This was due to essentially too many losses on one policy, a wide variety of losses from auto claims to property claims to liability situations as well. They made a special exception last year to continue coverage specific to the general liability, your property coverage, the auto liability, and physical damage coverage as well. At that time, we had placed the public officials liability policy and the law enforcement liability policy was with surplus lines carriers. So at this point, you have a expiring policy through Tokyo Marine Houston Casualty Company. You have an expiring policy through Kinsale Insurance, which is the public officials liability. And you have an expiring policy for the law enforcement liability through Greenwich Insurance. Currently, I have the renewal quotes for both the public officials liability as well as the law enforcement liability. So at this time, we're set with those two line items. I do not have yet a renewal proposal for the remainder of the coverage, which again is the general liability, auto coverage, and property coverage, essentially. To date, I have reached out to 10 carriers to inquire about coverage for these line items. A majority of the carriers declined due to either losses or due to exposure. I still have, I would say, 4 possible scenarios where a carrier will still be able to offer us a quote for those needed coverages. Those carriers are Munich Re, VFIS, which is a volunteer fire authority carrier, Travelers Insurance, and the last carrier is called Glatfelter. I had fully intended on being able to present the Munich quote to you this evening. That was the initial application we had submitted months ago. They actually gave me a verbal price and quote indication 2 to 3 weeks ago and have yet to send me the final quote. Due to the nature of how that carrier operates, they tend to move extremely slowly. A majority of the policies that Munich writes are for large public pools and for significant carriers. They're a reinsurer essentially for insurance companies. And so this would be a unique policy for them. But they are the ones that had given me a verbal price estimate with coverage. Again, I have yet to receive that final quote, though. Over the last week, I have been in many discussions with the remaining 3 companies. Glatfelter is continuing to review the application I submitted. They're trying to figure out if they can make the math work. Essentially, when reviewing the current loss history, there are some issues that don't look great from their perspective. VFIS, as well, is continuing to review the application that I had just recently submitted. I am in talks with both of these carriers multiple times a day at this point. And then lastly, Travelers, just got off the phone with them while I was driving to this meeting. They are also in the process of finishing up their underwriting, and hopefully we can get that dialed down very soon. One thing I will note specifically with Travelers is that generally and historically, they do require a risk control visit prior to binding coverage. And that would require a risk controller to sit down with a few department heads and go over some of your operational procedures and documents. I have asked that they agree to provide us a quote in lieu of that risk control visit, and as a term of the quote, make that a part of the binding terms. And so that would potentially be able to happen after we issue coverage. So they are considering that. If that is the case, we would again likely be able to get a quote, issue a policy for your 1/1 renewal, and then we would have that risk control visit likely in January.
Would the policy be into effect, even though they had a binding aspect? What happens if they say they don't bind? What happens to the policy?
So if they agree to those terms, they would issue the policy with a caveat that the risk control visit is scheduled. It would not disqualify the policy from being bound. If they do not agree to those terms, they have said and mentioned that they would still possibly be able to have a risk controller out for a very brief visit between now and the end of the policy term, which we now have about 2.5 weeks left. So that would, essentially be worst case scenario from Travelers' perspective. It looks like they're willing to, though, offer us a quote, assuming that risk control visit happens as part of the policy next year. So that's where we're at with those 4 carriers.
John, I just
Yes.
have a quick question. What would be comprised in that visit? What would be the things that they would be looking for?
Yep. So usually they sit down with a few different department heads, potentially the fire and police chiefs as well, and go through internal policies and procedures, whether that's your employee handbooks, if you have, sexual harassment procedures, a wide variety of things. What they do is ahead of time, they'll schedule with those specific individuals a half hour or so window on a certain day, and ideally they can get all of those done, all of those meetings done in one visit.
I'm asking for myself in
Mhm.
terms of audit controls in the treasurer's department, things that our auditor has suggested that we do to tighten up our processes.
Yeah. Again, I think it depends on each exposure that they're looking at as well. So every township is going to be different. I don't think they have a cookie cutter risk control kind of format that they follow. Again, depending on the specifics, they may meet with accounting departments and things like that. I think generally speaking, though, they really are more looking at just kind of your widespread employee handbooks and things like that.
I have a good question. The policies that you have, what were their amounts?
Yes. So I can send these to you tomorrow morning via email if you'd like. But at this point, the Kinsale public officials liability quote, and this would again be a renewal, is $34,700, just slightly up from last year's policy, which was just over $32,000.
And they cover what, sir?
Public officials liability is you, the board's coverage for your decisions and actions you take and make on behalf of the township.
Thank you.
Sorry?
Deductible?
That I believe for that policy, the deductible would remain the same this year. Yep. We wanted to keep the price as stable as possible. And so to do that they had it required us to keep that deductible as is for this year. For the law enforcement liability through Greenwich, that actually came in lower than last year due to some exposure changes. I think there was a change in the employee count. And so that came in at $52,900. Last year, it was just under $60,000. So a little bit of a price break there. Given today's market and the situation that we're dealing with, a stable renewal for the public officials and a slight decrease in price for the law enforcement liability, I think was a win there. Again, we still have to figure out what we're going to do for the rest of the coverage though. So that's my primary focus for the rest of the year. Again, reaching back out to Tokyo Marine as well, that's your current carrier. They unfortunately said they weren't open to renewing or even extending coverage. I had asked if they would extend coverage for maybe 30 days to give us more time here, but I think because of the losses that they have on their books, they weren't willing to do so. So with all that being said, again, I am continuing to pursue those 4 carriers multiple times a day, reaching out to them. And as soon as I have any developments from any of those carriers, you will be made aware of this. I know we're getting close to the end of the year here, and I wasn't sure what the schedule was for the board for the rest of the year. On the website, you have a meeting on the 23rd. I wasn't sure if
We do
that's
not.
going to hold or not. Okay.
We do
I also recall last year, we did have to call a special meeting for the insurance. And so, again, once I receive this quote, if we have to do that again this year, I'm willing to come out anytime. So, okay. So that's all I had for you this evening. If there's any other questions, hopefully I can answer those.
Any other questions?
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. So do we approve this, the ones that we have quotes for? There? It's all,
Wait till we get them all.
so all, okay,
Yeah, we figure out.
okay, okay.
Unfinished business, next item is supervisor request to hire Stephanie Myers as a union level 3 position.
On table.
Need a motion to go on table?
So moved.
Support.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Ms. Jana,
Yes.
Ms. Dora,
What's, oh, yes. It's like, what? Yes.
Yes, we take, put it on the table. Okay.
Baxter,
Yes.
Green.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Mr. Mays.
Yes.
Motion on tables. Carry 7-0.
Okay, the item that I'm requesting is to hire Stephanie Miles as my secretary under level 3 probationary employee under the union contract.
And so, Ms. Miles would be a new union employee, am I correct? And so she would begin probationary for, okay.
I have a question. Where did you get the level 3 from?
I looked at the union contract and under the level 3 position, Amanda Probst was my secretary in the union. And so under that position, I used that as where she was at in the union contract and based it under a probationary employee.
And you did say that Amanda was level 3?
According to the union
Okay.
contract, that's, and I assume Amanda was the office manager, and under that aspect, that's where I put Stephanie.
Benefits doesn't start until after 90 days.
I just have a
Under a
question.
probationary employee, she would get benefits after 90 days, she would get medical. And after 1 year, she would be eligible for the remainder of the benefits under the union contracts.
Can you summarize the other benefits, sick time, vacation time, how long of a wait for that? Pension, all that,
All
yes,
the
sir.
other additional benefits.
Would be after
After 1 year.
after 1 year. Thank you, sir.
No vacation time.
Do we want union positions for these appointed positions?
Well, again, it should have never left the union in the first place. It should have never left in the first place. So I absolutely have no problem putting it back where it should have been. We were just told something totally different. I'm not even gonna go down that road, but it should have never left the union position left the union in the first place. I asked about the level because I wanted to know where the level 3 came, and I wanted to also make sure the probation, because with the cashier, there is no probation. All her benefits will begin immediately. So I'm glad we clarifying that.
Is this not a confidential employee?
No.
Not
She
confidential.
never had that problem.
Not a problem. It's a classification.
Under the classification, no. It's not a confidential employee.
Not a confidential employee.
Any further discussion? On the motion, please. I'll make the motion.
Support.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Ms. Dora,
Yes.
Ms. Loper,
Yes.
Mr. Baxter,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Self, yes, Mays,
Yes.
King,
No.
motion carries 6-1.
Next item is appointment of a deputy treasurer, Andrew Everman.
That was input.
Need a motion
On the
to
agenda.
remove it from the table.
So moved.
Support.
A motion by King, supported by Loper, to remove the appointment of the deputy treasurer, Andrew Everman, from the table. Any further discussion?
I have discussion. That motion was to be as one item. When I sent over my items for the
It
agenda,
was a tabled item and has to stay as a tabled item in regard to you moving it to one full
I
item.
was advised by the attorney to use it as one item where I would address the separation of Marilyn Miller and then the appointment of Andrew Everman. But at this point, it can just be the separation of Marilyn Miller. At this point, we can leave that appointment of the deputy table.
So you're
We're not
requesting to
voting
leave
on
this on the
I got
table?
confused.
I need to have a separation for Marilyn.
Okay.
She walked out on the job on
Deputy
November
treasurer was
20th.
no longer required to be kept by the treasurer.
Correct.
So
Correct.
consequently, you're asking to terminating the deputy treasurer
Correct.
at will and
Correct.
table the request to hire the
Correct.
deputy treasurer, which is a tabled item, so you're requesting that
To
that
keep
be
it on the
left
table.
on the table.
Correct.
Any problems with removing your supports?
No problem at all. So we're just at this moment having a motion to release Marilyn,
Correct.
and then we'll come back to the motion of having your deputy clerk
At a later
position
meeting.
at a later meeting.
Correct.
That's fine.
But that's under the agenda farther down.
Okay.
So what do we just do now?
This just leaves it on the table.
Yeah.
Okay, in regards to Huntington Bank establishing the township tax receivable,
We take that
you
out.
have not provided any information
No.
to the board, so we'll leave that as a tabled item.
That's fine.
Okay.
Under new business. Tell us LED presentation.
Hello,
Hello.
I'm Mike. Yep, my name is Mike Dewan. I am one of the owners of Stellux LED Lighting. We were offered an opportunity to come up this summer back in July. We did a complete energy audit for lighting of all the facilities on this campus. And made a proposal back then. We developed our own software to be able to tell you exactly how much money you would be saving annually. We counted every light and the wattages of every light in all of the buildings and outside. And I think we gave you a pretty good representation of what is here now. And like a lot of communities, as people are having lights go out, they can't get the same type of light that they had before, and they're starting to move into buying more and more LED products. Our company, we're an ESCO, energy savings company, and our business model is designed really to help people. We've done over 510 projects in the last 9 years. Churches, schools, businesses, sports fields, parking lots. What we do is a turnkey process. We actually help you figure out how much money you can save. Then we go to the utility. In your case, it's Consumers Energy. We're a trade ally with Consumers Energy, and calculate the rebate and then what financing is available for you. And then we calculate whether or not the energy savings can pay for a project. So the whole goal of what we do is to help you update your lighting without having to find any new dollars to do the project. And that's what we presented earlier in the summer. And normally it's a process. Most people have no idea what it is that we do. And I get that. But our job is to manage that process. We do everything from the audit to the recommendations for lighting replacement. We hire and bring a certified electrician to the job to do the entire change out. We recycle all the bulbs that come out, recycle everything. And then we file for your rebate, make sure that you get the money that's coming to you. And you have an option to apply that towards your cost of the project or to take it as a check. It doesn't matter to us. But the goal is to get everybody on the green platform. And so just a couple of things that people really aren't aware of, but everyone that's here tonight and up here, if you have a property that has a meter, an electric meter, then you pay into the fund that exists. It's called the Energy Optimization Fund. You can go home and look at your bill tonight. For the last 13 years, you've been paying every month into that fund that's been created to allow projects like this happen for communities like yours. And so no one knows that information, but Consumers Energy puts up $25 million every year. And so does DTE Energy. And they do green projects. So it could be anything from updating a motor on a ladder for the fire engine. It could be lighting, and most anything in between, as long as it's considered green energy. They offer rebates on that. A lot of people go it alone. They'll say, well, we can do this, and we kind of peck away at it, right? The problem is I brought these cards just to share with you guys. Information that I'm just giving you is an average of all the projects that we've done and how much the savings are, right? So that is an average savings. Those are real dollars that we've brought back into communities through the rebating programs. And the cost to continue to run the lighting as you have now versus updating it, it's about $14,000 more a year to run all of that lighting on your property here than to update it today. And so if you just run that out over a 3-year period, it's about $44,000 to continue to operate the way you do today, over and above what it would cost you if you just put all new lighting in. and went through the process with Consumers Energy. Their program that they pay for up front is 0% interest cost to you. There's no interest to use their money. What we do is calculate what your savings is so you know every month we're going to save this amount of money on our energy cost, and X amount of dollars from that will be applied to making your payment. And they go all the way out to 36 months, but your guys' program pays for itself. For the city hall, police, fire, and pavilion area, the payback on that is 1.93 years. So after 1.93 years, that savings just goes to your bottom line every month. You don't have to write a check to come out of pocket a penny to do this. And I recommend that you do it. I know 510 other people that have done it, companies, churches, and they've all won. They're winning. And the people who stand on the sidelines and they don't move forward with this technology, because that's what lighting is today, is technology. It's not ballasted systems that draw 400 watts per light. It's a whole new program. And I just recommend that you take a look at this. There's no time frame from my perspective, other than these programs run annually. So we're already at the end of this year. In January, they are going to restart the program again for another, it'll run through the end of November. And, I like to say is good light makes people safe, makes people more productive, and helps keep people healthy. And that's kind of what we focus on. We will work with an electrician if you have one that is within your community and you want us to do that. Basically, we have a line item cost for every type of light there is that gets changed. And that's how we pay. We pay on a light by light basis to do the work. You have to have certified electricians to work on a lot of these fixtures that are going to be working with the wiring. If it was just changing a light bulb, that's one thing, but most everything that we used in our number is all new fixturing. So it's to get.
Let me give you a backdrop, Mike. So in July, I was introduced to Mike about these projects that he done. I think initially I said that I've seen this before, how energy saving, being in the schools, how you walk out some rooms and they time out, you come back in, they time in. So there are cost savings. That's how he got on the agenda, in my office. So when he's brought in my office, Mike was, of course, throwing out numbers and stuff like that. That's when I called our bean counter. No offense, Latrell. But I called Latrell in there, and Latrell heard the same presentation. Somehow the communication got mixed. We got into our August primary elections, September, October, and he just said, "Hey, what about you thought about this?" And still slipping through the cracks and stuff like that. So Mr. Green came in. I said, "You know what? I would just take Mike's presentation and ask Mr. Green what he want to do about it." So I went to Mr. Green and said, "Hey, Mike from Stillux explained the same thing I'm explaining to you all. He want to present to Mr. Green himself." Mr. Green said, "No. We want the whole board to hear at the same time he does." That's what's being transparent. So I said, okay, so I set it up, and that's what you have here with Mike here today with Stillux. He's doing a presentation from it's not the same company we used at the school, just to be transparent, but it's similar to what we done. We replaced all the bulbs to ceiling units, all LED. When you walk in, there was little things that you walk down the hallway, they would dim. Some of the things you see in that parking lot, if you've been at football games in high school, they dim, but when the car pull in, they lighten back up. Those kind of things are energy saving, and that can help budgets. That's why he's here talking. I'm on the board. So that's why we're here. You can continue.
Yeah, that's really it. And I'm not a sales guy. It's not my role. My job in the community, this community and a lot of other communities, is just make you aware of what's available, and that at some point the lighting program that exists in our country today is going to shift from what was known to be for us growing up, right, which was incandescent bulbs and other types of lights, to LED, and we're moving very quickly to that. So once that happens, once the ASHRAE code, which has already been approved, is enacted, then there will be no more incentives. They're not allowed to do incentives anymore then for LED lighting. So they thought the ash rate thing was going to go into effect this past August. It didn't. It's probably going to go in at some point next year. But if you want an opportunity to really do something good for your community and save a lot of money, I recommend taking a look at this. And I'm not against having another company or 5 other companies come in and do the work that we did. I think part of the reason that we got this far in your process is we don't charge any money to do the audit. Where other companies, that's where they're all trying to make money. We get paid too if you do the work as a business, and I'm not against that. But the biggest winner in this will be you guys forevermore once you make that change.
I have a question for you. How are there other townships that we could, I would just like to know how it's working for other townships.
Yeah.
And see if we could compare what kind of savings they have had.
Yep.
And also maybe look at other companies, board members. I know the savings, but it is upfront a charge of $27,595. So I would like to know other townships.
Yep.
Plus another, oh yeah. Yeah. That's just for the city, right? We got several costs here, factors here.
Yeah.
I'd like to know some townships that you've done this work for so
Sure.
that we could get something to compare
Yeah.
it to.
I think and that's fair. I think what makes the most sense for you guys is for me to introduce your outreach guy from Consumers Energy. His name's David Kirk. And he can give a presentation too, because he knows I only know the people we've done projects for, but they know everyone that's done a project and what the value of the projects were and what the savings were. I only know from what I put together for you guys what your savings would be.
Is that David Kirk?
David Kirk, and I can get information to you for that.
Yeah, so now, I know at one point, I could be wrong, but consumers had the same program at one point. Do they not have any more? Or
This is the consumers program. This is
I know that, but I'm saying they came in another establishment and they did the presentation to us.
Mhm.
And if I'm not mistaken, they had people come in, and I don't know if they subcontracted or not, but they had people come in, and I don't have the cost and all of that. My question is, are they still doing that directly, or do they just subcontract now?
I think it's all subcontracted now. I don't know anything like that.
Okay.
And I have a couple of questions in regards to your program. On your quote, it says the city of Mount Morris, City Hall, Police, Fire, Pavilion. Monthly payments, 36 monthly payments at $983.03 at no interest. After applying your savings toward the monthly payment, the net is $202.72 each month. Upon finance approval, a check for $2,216.06 to cover the first and last month's payment. And then under the rebate option of $7,793.10, which takes 4 to 6 weeks to get, we have to assign that check over to you. So roughly you're looking at $40,554.14 that the township is obligated to pay according to these contracts.
Yeah.
And consequently, you said the most we're going to save is 40,000. So in the first 3 years of the contract, what you're saying we will save within a year and a half, according to the information that says we're not going to see any savings at all until after the 4th year. And when I was supervisor, we did an energy audit on all 3 of our fire departments, and all 3 of them went through the process and went to LED lights.
Yeah, some of the lights have been changed here. That is true.
Okay. And so if this is supposed to cover all the township and we did a lot of the lights in the township hall were transferred to LEDs. So my question is, what's the difference between your LEDs and the ones we presently have?
All we counted were the ones that were,
Aspects.
we only counted the lights that have not been converted to LED. Like in your parking lot, there's a pole when you drive up and it's got 4 LED lights on there. You go to the next pole, it's not done. You go to the next 3 down, they're not done. Why that's like that, I have no idea. But all we can count and all we can submit to for a rebate for you is lights that have not been converted yet. That's how it works.
I had already submitted this question. When you did the audit, where is that at? So we know exactly what you're looking at, where you came up with this figure. Because one for the 3 buildings is 27,000, and then for the senior building is 5,000, and it is going to be costly. So I wanted to know what that audit looks like and what lights are you replacing, and
Yeah, we were
So-
walked around by someone from the fire department. They
Mhm.
walked through everything with us. The reason the senior department was separate, it's on its own meter.
okay. Do we have that in writing? What lights you looked at to replace and what lights?
I have my worksheet that I went off of when I did my counts. Yeah, I could formalize that, send it to you.
It'd be nice to know exactly what we're
Yeah.
paying for if we decide to go with this. But I truly would like to know what other townships think about the program and if they've done it before and what kind of savings they've experienced.
Sure.
Any further questions?
I would just like to ask the finance director, do you anticipate if we were to go forward with this in the future, would this be something that we need to finance, or would we be able to find it in the budget to just pay for it?
Question, we definitely would have to find the money. While our debt obligations as a township is low, that is not something that is built in any particular forecast that I am interested developing to introduce to this body. So that would be a nuance going forward.
Thank you, sir.
Any further questions?
Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Time.
Thank you. Yep. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is Fire Department Station 1 requesting to hire Donald Lee Morrison.
Morrison.
Thank you, Board. Good evening. Mr. Donald Morrison applied at our station to become a firefighter at Station 1. He is also a owner of a business in our township, and he wants to serve his community.
What's your pleasure?
Make the motion for Fire Department Station 1's request to hire Donald Lee Morrison.
Support.
Motion by Loper, supported by King. I think they're both at the same time.
He has,
Hire Donald Lee Morrison. Is there any further discussion on the motion?
he has cleared his.
I was just
drug
gonna say, I
test.
saw in this
I
packet that
was
they
waiting,
had cleared to the chief.
Yeah.
Just
I don't bring nothing to
That
the
on
board until
record.
they're ready to go.
Roll call.
Mr. Baxter,
Yes.
Green.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Mays,
Yes.
Jonna, Dora,
Yes.
Loper.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you, Board.
Next item on the agenda is Fire Department Station 1 requesting to purchase gear washing machine in the amount of $5,288.24. Chief?
Yes, as I stated in my letter, our current gear washing machine is about 25, 26 years old. Parts are obsolete for it. And it can only wash one set of turnout gear. Under the NFPA rules and the new regulations and the new standards, they want us washing our gear, to try to wash our gear after every structure fire due to the carcinogens. With that being said, it's kind of hard to put a bunch of gear into a gear washer that you can barely put one set of gear in. We shoved 2 sets in it today earlier, and I thought it was good. The whole machine was going to fall apart because you could hear it. So, and it also save energy.
We have a transformer that sits on our mezzanine over there. It's been here since 1978. That's the only thing it's running is that gear washer because it's a 3-phase 480. Once if the township approves it, we'll be able to DC that transformer and try to sell that outright somewhere, just maybe some electrician or somewhere, maybe get some money back. But that will lower our electricity costs because it's just sitting over there humming all day long for no reason. We shut the washer off, it's still powered up. There's nothing connected to it but that washer. We don't have a welder anymore and so on and so forth. And I've talked with the finance director, Mr. Holmes, already before I brought it to you. I'm going to purchase it out of my cost recovery funds. So it's no cost out of the budget, so on and so forth.
What's your pleasure?
I'd like to make a motion to allow the fire station one to purchase a gear washing machine in the amount of $5,288.24 using cost recovery funds.
Support.
Any further discussion on the motion?
No discussion, but I would like to say that just as Chief said, the poisons and all that is on their suits and stuff for the safety of our firefighters. I think this is a necessity.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Green,
Yes.
myself, yes. Mays,
Yes.
Johnner,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Loper, Baxter. Yes. Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you, board. And I do have the new hire in the audience with us. It's Mr. Morrison right here. I didn't get a chance because we jumped so fast, but this is Donald. This is our township board. Board. And we're gonna leave because we have a fire call that we've been waiting to leave.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is to approve the 2025 Planning Commission meeting dates. What's your pleasure?
Make the motion to approve the 2025 Planning Commission meeting dates.
Any questions on the motion? Roll call, please.
Myself, yes. Mays,
Yes.
Johnner,
Yes.
Dora,
Yes.
Loper,
Yes.
Baxter,
Yes.
Green.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Next item on the agenda is code enforcement hours. I am recommending that each code enforcement officer works 29 hours a week.
Yes, what's I say?
We already,
They are,
I thought
they already at 29.
it's information.
Continuing it along the same aspect of way it is.
Okay. Because that was
And-
my question. I was like,
Information.
dang, I thought, okay,
That's
very
what they're
good.
doing
Yes.
now.
Okay.
Okay.
It's information.
Next item on the agenda is the appointment of the Genesee County Metropolitan Alliance, elected officers, citizens, representatives, and alternates. And those will be the same as they were. Mr. Bob Johnson is the citizens representation. Michelle Roper is the first alternate. And the second alternate, I'm requesting that Mr. Allen be that individual. Any questions? Need a motion.
So move.
Support.
Any further discussion on the motion? Roll call.
Mr. Mays,
Yes.
Johnner,
Yes.
Dora,
Yes.
Loper,
Yes.
Baxter,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
myself, yes. Motion carries 7-0.
Information item was the next item in regards to municipal attorney John Ryan. That was just an information. And the item where we have Dora Johnson, that's been taken care of according to legal counsel when we moved her into that position. Next item is supervisor requesting to terminate the contract with labor attorney Gary Falk from Boatman's attorney and consultant. The reason I make that recommendation or requesting that is because Mr. Allen has negotiated contracts. He was a union representative. I have been a union rep. I have negotiated several union contracts. And up to this present time, the Mount Morris Township has paid him over $180,000. And I feel that our legal counsel will correct any errors in regards to the contract before we finalize with John Ryan, because their firm does that also. And Mr. Allen and myself can negotiate the contracts and save that $190,000 time we get through the contract, which can be used better amongst police officers' wages and helping the township to be able to maintain our staff and get qualified people in here instead of losing our staff to other departments because we don't have revenue to fund them.
I'd like to, can I address that? I don't have a problem with us looking at our legal counsel. However, I think that we should table this for 6 months, and here's the reason why.
You're requesting table motion?
Yes, and yes, and the reason is because you're correct. We have spent quite a bit of money, and that is because we've had a lot of conversation with the lawyers that shouldn't have happened. The lawyers are on retainer. If we followed the rules, and the rules were is that only the supervisor and the clerk's office, and they would communicate with each other so that it wouldn't be both of them calling at the same time. That did not happen. We have had so much miscommunication, and that is hence comes the $180,000 that we have spent. We currently have a lot of lawsuits that are still out there. As we can see tonight, we've had issues with contracts. We wouldn't have had this long 20-minute conversation about the contracts had we been on one accord, but we have not. So until we find out exactly how many lawsuits we still have available, I'm not saying anything about you all's union negotiation skills, but he's on retainer. We don't have to pay him on a monthly basis. We only have to pay him when we use them. And so if we work together and not we just had people calling last week.
We have a motion to table.
So
There's
I want to
discussion
no.
on the motion to table. Do I have support?
I'll just table it for 6
Support.
months.
Support.
6 months. I want to make sure that's the motion for 6 months.
So that was your motion and supported by.
Yeah,
Whoever made the motion to
Yes.
table for 6 months,
for 6 months, and we'd come back and look at the
could we make
Yep.
that 90 days?
let's do 3 months. We can look at 3
I
months.
said, I think at least 4
There's a
months
Tabling motion made and
because we
supported
can
for
get through
3
our
months.
union contract negotiation.
How far are we
15.
along with the union? That's why I said the 6 months.
Deadline is March 31st.
March 31st.
So that would be April.
April 1, yeah.
Yeah.
Starting
April
the
1.
contract.
90 days.
It's a little
Well,
more.
or until April 1st.
Let's
You
do
wanna say
April 1st. April 1st.
All right,
That'll give us time to look at what we have out there and get the union contracts done.
any
Yeah.
roll call in regards to tabling motion to table this until April 1st of 2025? Roll call.
Ms. Jonna,
Yes.
Ms. Dora,
Yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
Ober, Baxter,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
myself, yes, Mays.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Next item on the agenda is the treasurer is requesting to approve the extension of the contract with Gina Miller.
And so, yeah, with Ginger Miller, just through February 15th That's going to get me most of the way through tax season. She's been really valuable and helpful with Jean and Sonia with their support. So I just need her through that point in time.
I'm sorry. Would you repeat how long?
To February 15th.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Did you make a motion?
Yeah.
Support.
Discussion. In regards to your request, you are asking for an additional 250 hours, which figures to roughly over $16,000 in addition to the $8,000 that we've already spent.
Mhm.
In addition, you're requesting us to pay 67 cents a mile, and she is driving over 100 miles a day here and back.
She's worth about
I'm not
$450 an
disputing
hour.
what she's worth. I'm asking the question. She
Yes.
drives here and back is over 100 miles a day,
No, it's about 80 miles a day.
80 miles a day
Mhm.
about,
Mhm.
which is costing the township at 67 cents a mile, approximately $90
Larry, the
a
township's
day.
not
Now, let
paying
me
for a
finish,
deputy
ma'am.
right
I
now.
have the floor. The aspect is an additional $80 a day in addition to what you're requesting to pay,
Mhm.
which would put your budget in deficit.
Actually, no, because I'm not, that budget is including a deputy treasurer that I'm not paying right now. And it's also including a salary for a treasurer that hasn't been paid for at least 4 months. So
That would
there's money
exhaust that
available.
payment. Mr. Holmes, Financial Director?
There's a number of things that actually play into this conversation. Again, the things that mentioned with the staff that is not currently in place there. So all I could give you is based on positions with the assumption that they are filled from this point through the end of the year. As I mentioned earlier, that both of the hirings that we have done on this agenda will require an amendment to the budget. The proposal that the treasurer has put before us will increase both the general fund in Department 253 by $2,700. And then the sewer and water could also bear some of this to the tune of $12,000. So it will be necessary to include this action as a part of the full amendment there to adjust it. Because it would be, as the current budget is structured, it would be a deficit as the current budget is structured. But we have already stated that we need to amend this budget for both of the hiring that are done. So if it was the body's desire, that could be factored into that amendment.
Did you do the calculations in regards to mileage reimbursement based on 67 cents?
I actually had a little bit more miles factored in there. I overstated the miles there. I thought she was actually driving 70 miles one way for a total of 150 miles a day. So my calculations is overstated in that regard there. But based on the 152 miles that I had figured in it, along with the meals that was agreed upon, the motion that was passed at the last meeting would have cost $9,854 for the 130 hours. This request that's before you tonight for the additional 250 hours indeed would cost right at $20,000 for that engagement. So a total of roughly $30,000 would be for 380 hours of support, which is what Ms. Miller would be providing there. Again, the present budget there is some gaps, a lot of unknowns, but there are some gaps there. I can't tell you when they would be filled because again, the employee that's out is an indeterminate return. The hiring of the current vacant position as the deputy is also
Open.
not right now on the wage. So there are some ebbs and flows that.
So I have a question. So will Ginger be needed to train the deputy as well?
Right now, I just need her through February as
True.
my support.
Well, my question was, will that,
I'm fully capable of training staff.
so we won't need no more training after this?
That's my intent.
I have a question. So how long do you have her as of now?
Just through the end of December.
Okay. And the purpose that you want to extend it to February the 15th is
For
because
tax season.
for tax season.
And we also have, we have a lot of water bills coming through too. She's functioning right now as my deputy.
Okay. So I think I would add a caveat to that. How long will it be before you put a deputy treasurer in place? Because one of the things that I heard Latrell say, if we do end up hiring somebody, then that's going to be an additional cost. So are we not going to hire a deputy treasurer until this February the 15th? Because I don't know if the budget, well, it doesn't sound like the budget can support both of that, both of
I'll
those.
be comfortable when I'm comfortable with a Ginger and her moving on, then I'll be good to place in a deputy.
So you will not be hiring it. That's what I want to hear. You will not be hiring a deputy treasurer until after February the 15th. After this person,
Provided I have these hours, yes.
And then you're going to train them after that.
and you will do the training.
I'm hands-on.
I wanted to know.
Mhm. And I'd like to also ask if Miss Miller is in a negotiating mood. Perhaps, you guys are laughing, maybe not. Okay. But, just to maybe see if we took the travel and the food off of it, I just am not used to these kind of gigs where you get money for going to work and you get money to eat lunch.
That's-
And, I,
It's the
I
nature of
believe
the
Miss
contract.
Miller Burks, actually, I had mentioned that to her as we were preparing the meeting. She apparently framed the contract in the same manner that we had with the engagement with Riemann and Associates. When we were with Riemann and Associate, that was a part of that agreement. Of course, this is a personal service contract with her and not a firm there. And I will state for this body and the public, I wasn't a part of the contract there, but my observation of it is such that I did mention to ask her about that. And she said, well, Riemann did it. And I thought this was the way to go.
And her skills and her experience could command through a firm 350 to 450 an hour. So at $65 an hour, I feel like that's reasonable at this point.
I too, I'm kind of like you, Dora. I get the help, I do, but the lunches and all of that, that's quite a bit. And I understand that Riemann may have done it, but past practices don't mean we have to continue a practice. I would ask that we would just do the pay per hour. The travel, since you had already over budgeted, I could see that, but the lunch and all that stuff, I think we need to see if there's some negotiation room there where we could eliminate that. That's my thoughts.
Motion?
I'm asking that
I
question.
still need a motion in regards to the request. We've been discussing this. I don't have a motion on the floor.
I'll make the motion so we can continue discussing it.
Do I have a support?
support.
Thank you.
Is that an option?
That's something that I would have to discuss with her.
Okay.
But as the contract is right now, that's what I'm asking support for.
So clarity, we had already had a motion with yourself and Mr. King. for the
That's what
original
I had
motion.
too.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, no worries.
My fault. I didn't read
I
it.
thought that's what I thought. That's why I started talking.
No,
Okay.
so we have a contract already with Miss Miller until the end of this year. And so we're asking for approximately 6 more weeks after what we've already agreed to.
Mhm.
And I would like to, if I may, just just put it out there that we change that contract to not include the travel and the food for that 6 weeks. I know we've already agreed to it through the end of this year. And that way, we can save the township a little bit of money and at the same time get you the help that we know you need in your department.
But
and-
if she'll agree to those terms.
Right, because we have to readjust
I
the
mean,
contract. We
if
can't
she's-
change it, terms of it.
Yes, I know you can't answer for her, but
Right. And we're good till the end of the year, but for the next, when January the 1st comes until February the 15th, that's what, 6 weeks?
right.
See what she says.
So the motion on the table by you and supported by Ms. King is to keep it the way it is right now.
Okay.
So you could either vote it up or down. The way it's presented.
Yeah.
Not with adjustments. You have to come back.
Then we
Right,
have
I
to come back
understand.
and
So
make
the,
another.
the motion is
The
that we
original.
continue the
Original
same.
motion by Jonah, supported by King, is to extend the contract with Gina Miller under the present terms for an additional 250 hours until February the 15th.
And I think if we had to come back for a special meeting, it sounds like we'd have to come back for one for the insurance anyway. So,
Right.
I mean, so if we, however this votes, if we propose something else, we'd have time to even, if we adjourn for a
Absolutely.
special meeting with the insurance, that could be added.
Okay.
Any further discussion on the motion? Roll call.
Ms. Dora,
No.
Ms. Loper,
No.
Mr. Baxter,
No.
Mr. Green.
No.
Myself, no. Mr. Mays,
No.
Ms. Jones.
Yes.
Motion fails. 1-6.
So for clarification, you're going to go back and speak with her. And then if she agrees, then when we have our special meeting, we'll take the vote at that time.
Okay. On what she agrees to.
The only,
Hmm?
I think what you need to do at this point is make a motion if that's what you're requesting. So
Okay.
when it comes to the agenda for the special
already be-
meeting, we'll have a response instead of saying, I don't know, because you didn't tell her anything.
Okay. Make the motion.
Sure. So I'd like to make a motion that we change the contract up a little bit for Miss Miller for the pay to be the same, but that we take the travel and the food out of it for an extension up to February the 15th.
Support.
A motion by King, supported by Allen, to continue the pay the same and delete travel time and meals.
Yes, sir.
Any further discussion on the motion? Roll call.
Ms. Loper,
Yes.
Mr. Baxter,
Yes.
Mr. Green.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Mays,
Yes.
John. Dora,
Yes.
motion carries 7-0. 7-0. 7-0.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the treasurer is requesting to approve commercial graphics in the amount of $5,567.72 for printing and mailing of the tax roll.
So moved. Support.
Any further discussion? Roll, please.
Baxter,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
myself, yes. Mays,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Dora,
Yes.
Loper,
Yes.
motion carries 7-0.
Next item on the agenda is the treasurer requesting approval of payment of the bills added after board's approval. I believe that was a part of the township board's resolution a couple of years ago. But so be it. What's your pleasure?
So move.
Support.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, I think this is already in our finance policy about this.
So there's a portion of our finance committee, our finance policy that authorizes the continued processing of certain recurring bills there. And I believe those were among those that did give Treasurer King some concern. While the policy does allow for those to be paid, I can't disagree with the additional review to just make sure it's correct there. But to your question, it is a policy that provides for, those to be done.
For
Absolutely.
reoccurring ones. Am
For
I hearing you
reoccurring
correctly?
ones, that to avoid late payment and interest
sir. Yes, sir.
interest. That's why that's done. Utility bills are among them, our cable bills, our insurance policies that are relative to fringe benefit payments and things of that sort. And that's within the preamble of the policy.
The only problem with that is when I receive a stack of checks and I go through itemization and I'm looking at those checks and then they're not the same amounts. So I'm having to extend out these reports the way they're processed. And then there are different items that are added in after the fact. And then there aren't descriptives, there aren't invoices. I need to see invoices.
Absolutely.
For these
Yeah.
bills. So I'm comfortable with signing my name to the check.
I can agree with that.
Okay.
Were any of those not reoccurring bills that you're concerned about?
Yeah, there were some, there was one, it looked like it was for an election printing copy. There was an extra item that must have came in. These reports are printed for the board packet. And then we have those days lag time where we have bills
Right.
come in. So, it's sometimes impossible to get all that information in at the appropriate time. But being able to see that cleanly with checks and invoices that's important. Okay.
Any further discussion on the motion? Vote please.
Mr. Green.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Mr. Mays.
Yes.
Ms. Jana.
Yes.
Dora.
Yes.
Ms. Loper.
Yes.
Ms. Baxter.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Next item on the agenda is the financial director's report.
Thank you. Feel like I've already given my report already, but I just did want to let the body know that Nielsen Construction has completed the re-roofing of the newly in process being renovated property room. There looks really nice over there. So we are moving towards fulfillment of the next obligations of that grant, which is secure doors and additional perimeter lighting and interior lighting over there. As it relates to the topic that I've said many times there, I will have the second amendment to the budget drafted for you all prior to this month's, to this year's ending. There, I would ask if you would allow me to at least await to hear back from Mr. Johnson as it relates to our insurance policies, for that would be the last piece of what I believe I'll need to put in this amendment. There is those expenses, but beyond that, that's my report.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any questions from any of the board members? Clerk's report.
I just have the one thing to be transparent and let the board know. So I received a letter today from the Reverend Thomas Firestone from, he's the administrator from Our Lady of Guadalupe. He just has some concerns about on election day in August and November, the way that the traffic comes in and go out has allowed campaign workers to stop cars and in the parking lot. He believes it's voter intimidation. And there should be free, this should be free of access to the parking lot because he was stopped by a campaign worker. So I will be meeting with the Reverend Firestone and see what we can do to ease this complaint that I've received. And I will let you know what that results to will come to. That's all I have.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is public comments. Anyone wishing to address the board may do so.
Good evening again, Catherine Oliver, 6114 Neff Road. And I just want to report on the activity that we had for the children was held at Fire Station 2. Mr. Wilson, Mr. Wilson, he was there allowing us, but we had brought all the kids' toys and gifts, pencil boxes. They had little crazy things on their hair, but they had a pizza party. They enjoyed themselves, quite a few children. And the residents and myself, we'd like to thank them for allowing this. I don't know how many years they've been doing it, but it's been a while. I know this has been my fourth year, and probably my final year due to the fact cost of the items are dramatically going up and up, and trying to get donations and stuff like that. It's not as easy. So I'm just glad the kids really enjoyed themselves. And I want to thank the firefighters who helped get all the supplies to their stations and, did what they did for the children. And the children really appreciate it. So, and basically also, we wanted, just to let our firefighters and Chief Beach, thank the chief too, because he tributed so the kids could have things too. Besides the basic thing they always get, they were able to pick out what they wanted, take pictures with Santa Claus, have shopping. So they had a great time. So I'd like to thank our essential workers to let them know we're very appreciative of the things that they do. Mhm.
Anyone else wishing to address the board?
Good evening, board. My name is Deontay Brown, owner of Row House Bar and Grill located at 3336 West Pasadena Avenue. And I'm coming today as a concerned father, son, and business owner. It's a severe hazard on Pasadena with the lighting. And I own Row House since 2020. And since I've owned it, I have experienced 2 fatal accidents right there in that area. I have brought this issue to the road commission. I also spoke with the supervisors that was on the scene for both accidents. The last supervisor, he said he would bring that to the attention of the board as well. And this last incident, it was a lady coming from the trailer parks, which is located across the street. I'm assuming she was headed to the store because she had a bag full of bottles. Um, uh, a truck hit her. She ended up getting hit by 2 more vehicles. And I could have done what most business owners did and just overlooked it, but that was somebody's daughter. That's somebody's mother. And what I'm trying to do today is I want to be proactive, and see how we can work together and see how we can try to be proactive towards this and prevent this from happening in the future. And I don't know if you guys can install a pole there or lead me in the right direction to install a pole there, but what I am willing to do is I will take on the utility bill that's nearest my business for pedestrians.
Establishing a street lane at that location is what you're requesting?
Yes, or near it.
We can talk to the Genesee County Road Commission. They will pursue the state police, who will do a traffic history of that area and to see if it warrants a traffic light. Then at that point, the County Road Commission will bill a portion of that to Mount Morris Township, which in turn we can bill that to the residents. The last one, when I was here, that we installed, the cost factor was $50,000.
Oh, wow.
No, $50,000. So when the study is done, then at that point we can, but on your behalf, I will contact the Genesee County Road Commission personally tomorrow morning. And I will talk to them in regards to that location to do a study so that we can prevent those things from happening in the future.
Okay. Because we have young children that be walking down Pasadena. And everybody don't have the luxury of having a vehicle, so they may be taking, walking down the street. And I just want to be proactive.
No sidewalks either.
No sidewalks.
So are you requesting a traffic light
street light. But I want to take every preventive measure we can take, whatever solution we can take. It's not, unfortunately, it's none of my customers that it happened to, but just to go out there and see a lady down on the ground, it was just, it was heartbreaking to me.
Study for that street light.
Okay.
We wanted a traffic light, the street light, and
Okay.
pursue it, and we can get that done hopefully ASAP.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Okay.
Anyone else wishing to address the board?
Hello, my name's Jason. First off, I want to kind
Last name, Jason?
yeah, first, I want to kind of go off script a little bit.
Address, please.
1515, I believe that's what it is, Cornell. Anyhow,
North or south?
not sure. Anyhow, the reason I'm here is I would definitely make sure your insurance is current, and I would definitely keep your attorney on board, because what I've witnessed here with your township, the way that they're jacking up people's taxes and, you know, coming in with their insane zoning ordinances and so on and so forth, it's just not good. But I stand before you guys here today as a defender of your rights and mine. Let me tell you something right now, township officials. You might think you enforce codes, but I enforce rights. Your constitutional rights, my rights, and the rights of every person in this community. And when those rights are violated, I don't sit quietly and I don't back down. What's happening here with these unlawful zoning demands and blatant overreach of power? Businesses that are legally operating on commercially zoned property are being harassed and threatened, not because they've done anything wrong, but because someone in power decided they could. Well, guess what? You can't. Not in this country and not on my watch. This isn't just bad governance. This is a violation of the Constitution. The First Amendment protects our right to pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Running a business and making an honest living is those very essence of those rights. Is Michigan not a right to work state? The 14th Amendment ensures due process and equal protection under the law. But where is the due process here? Businesses are being targeted arbitrarily and property owners are being denied fair treatment. These actions also violate 42 USC 1983, which holds officials accountable when they abuse their power and violate the rights of the citizens. And let's not forget 18 USC 242, which makes it a federal crime for any public official to deprive a person of their rights under the color of law. These township officials aren't just pushing boundaries, they're breaking the law. Let me be clear. When you try to strip people of their property rights, their livelihoods, and their dignity, you're attacking the very foundation of what this country stands for. The Declaration of Independence guarantees us rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And I'll be damned if I let anyone trample on those principles. To the township officials, let me say this. You enforce codes, I enforce the Constitution. And I will not stand by while you use your positions to abuse the people you're supposed to serve. Stop the unlawful rezoning demands. Stop the harassment of businesses. You swore an oath to uphold the law. Start acting like it. And the people of Mount Morris Township, your rights are worth fighting for. Your properties are worth fighting for. Your businesses are worth fighting for. Your freedoms are worth fighting for. These are not privileges. They are guarantees. Stand with me, show up, speak out, make your voices heard. This isn't about one business or zoning issues. It's about whether we let bureaucrats take over our lives and whether we stand up and take control ourselves. I enforce rights. I will not stop until justice is served. I will not be silenced. I will not be intimidated. Together we will prevail. It's time we the people stand up.
Anyone else wishing to address the board?
Yes. Good evening once again, Jolena Sims, 5432 Sarah's Drive. Just real quick. I came on board in 21. There was a street light. Residents called, said it was just so dark in the area. Called consumers and they did put in a pole there and a fluorescent light there, the new lights. Then last year, there was a resident on Jennings Road in between Pasadena and Pearson Road were saying how dark it was there. So I had Jean to call consumers. Once again, Shauna did it the first time, and they said, well, the pole would be $100, Supervisor Sims. The township will pay for the pole, but we'll put the light there. The pole is there, the light is there, and the residents are so happy because it's lit up. So I'm just saying to you all, Mr. Green, if you can just, as you say, contact consumers, you all pay for the pole, $100, it's within your budget, and put the lighting there so that the residents won't be hurt. Because the young lady that was killed was someone that I knew that was killed and hit by 3 vehicles, not 1, but 3. So come on, let's put this light up there. I'm not concerned about a street light because I don't even think they could put that there because of the distance of the light and the light at Clio Road. But anyway, let's get a street light up there for the people. And I just said that you guys have a good evening. Continue to try to move the township forward. And once again, maybe some of us really need to take a look at what's going on. And I'm gonna say this here real quick. I was woken up at 5 o'clock on Sunday morning, and I was showed a rattlesnake on this board, curled up with the tail. How they make that noise, that means you're talking. It was talking. So pay attention to what you're doing, because at any moment, what does a rattlesnake do? Strike at you, waiting to bite. We have some of them board members that will do that. I'm asking you all, read 1st and 2nd Thessalonians, and you'll see yourself.
Hello? Josh Bogus, 1144 North Grinnell. Good evening, folks. My name is Josh. I'm a mechanic, a tow truck driver, a proud part owner of the business being targeted by the Charter Township of Mount Morris Township. I'm not here to beat around the bush or play politics. I'm here to talk about the facts. And I'm pissed off. The township officials think they can harass us hardworking folks with their bogus recognizing demands. Well, let me make one thing crystal clear. They are dead wrong, and I'm not backing down. My business operates in a commercial zone property, plain and simple. We house vehicles for short periods of time. That's part of what we do. This community running. We not breaking any laws, and we're not asking for handouts. We're providing an honest service, creating jobs, and contributing to this town's economy. And now these so-called officials want to tell us we're out of line. No, you're out of line. This isn't just about zoning. This is about power and control. They're stomping all over our constitutional rights, our right to our life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, guaranteed in the Declaration of Independence. They're violating the First Amendment by interfering with our right to make a living. And let's not forget the 14th Amendment, which says we're entitled to due process and equal protection under the law. Where's our protection? Where's the fairness? And here's the kicker. Michigan is a right to work state. That means every person has the right to earn a living without government interference. What these officials are doing isn't just wrong, it's illegal. They're violating federal laws like 42 U.S. Code 1983, which protects us from abuse of power by government officials. That's you. I spent my life working with my hands, earning an honest living, and building something I'm proud of. I don't have time for politics. I don't have patience for bureaucrats who don't understand what it means to work hard. But I'll tell you this, I know how to fight and I know how to stand my ground. To the township officials, hear me loud, hear me clear. Stop harassing us. Stop trying to change rules mid-game. You're supposed to serve the people of this community, not target them and line your pockets. If you want to fight, you've got one, because I'll fight tooth and nail to protect what is mine. And to my neighbors and fellow residents, I need your support. Stand with me, speak at our meetings, push back against this overreach. We've got to hold these officials accountable, remind them who they are. They work for us. This is my business, my livelihood, my family's futures. I've worked too damn hard to let anyone take it away. We're not going anywhere. We're not going to fight like this. We're going to win. It's not laying down. We will not be silenced. We will not be intimidated. We will not back down. Stand up, Mount Morris. You, Chief of Police, I would like you to address me in front of my children in a respectful manner and let them know what their constitutional rights are. And when they see something illegal getting addressed to you, don't ignore it.
Anyone else wishing to address the board? Anyone else wishing to address the board?
My name's Christopher Renfro. I'm not from this city, but I'm here looking out for some of this citizens in the city. And you can look at me as a guide to federal court
And under 18 USC 241, conspiracy of rights, I see more than two people sitting here. And there's more than two people that was a part of that letter that was sent to my people. 18 USC 242, deprivation of rights under color of law. 42 USC 12203 is what was in that letter, threatening to shut down businesses. Yes. Okay. So if you guys,
That is commercial property. I purchased commercial property from a
You're out of order.
license. You are too.
One more remark, and I'll ask the officer.
it's my time, he can speak on my
The
time.
aspect is that he moved into, he bought an old school building that's under the jurisdiction, let me finish, of the state mechanical, or state constitution, where they don't fall under the state construction code. Schools are covered by the state fire marshal. When schools are sold, no longer used, it resorts back to the zoning ordinance of the area. Where he's at is right in the middle of a subdivision, and consequently, he bought that building. They told him it was commercial, which it is not. He never checked with the township. He was given notification that he's in violation of the zoning ordinance.
I object.
And he has to.
I object to that. Yes, I am.
And you can, consequently, when we get through the process, we'll have the courts, and the courts will tell us what we can and what we can't do.
On that paperwork, that property is divided in two.
There's two
Yes,
different parts
one
of the
section is residential, one section's commercial. Tell me why they've been paying commercial taxes since they moved in until now. They're still being charged commercial. No, you guys are robbing your community. And there's more than just them, and I know them all. And I will guide these people through federal court. This shit needs to stop. Yeah.
Anyone else wishing to address the board?
Yeah, Jeff Master, 3396 Field Road. Hey. First of all, let's clear up something about Marilyn. Marilyn didn't walk out. The last meeting, that comment was made, she didn't walk out. She sat up in that building till noon. Nobody said nothing to her. She left. She was called that next Sunday and told not to return. So if we're going to sit up there, we're going to tell the truth. Because the only reason you're in that seat, if we want to know the truth, is because the last treasurer passed away. This ain't question and answer. This isn't question and answer. This is public comment. I'll talk, you listen, whether you like it or not. The only reason you're sitting there is because people voted straight party. Otherwise, you wouldn't be in there for the fourth time in a row. So Marilyn did not quit. When Gail passed away, this board sat here and you asked Marilyn if she could fill in, if she could do the job, if she could do it. Did she need help? Did she need anything? And Marilyn stood up and Marilyn said she could do the job. She did the job. Nobody had a complaint with anything Marilyn did, ever. She did a great job. I'm not saying this Ginger Miller, whatever she makes, $65 an hour, I'm not saying she's not worth $1,000 an hour. I don't know. I don't care. But all I know is to bring in somebody and pay them that kind of money. When Marilyn sat up there and did the same job with no issues of any kind for not even a tenth of that. She didn't get mileage. She didn't get lunch. She didn't get any special treatment. She did a job that this board asked her to fill in and do, and she did it. And again, for the second meeting in a row, we said that she walked out and she quit, which is a lie, a blatant lie, which is a history of yours. This isn't question and answer. I guess we'll tell you again, because you don't seem to listen. So, no, I don't lie. I speak the truth no matter what. No matter what. I'll speak the truth. If it gets me in trouble, I don't care. I do not lie. So you sit there all you like. So to bring in somebody and let them get that kind of money, what about your building inspector? That guy drives 130 miles a day. You don't see him getting mileage. Talk about ridiculous. If you're going to get elected, let's be clear, for straight party voting only, maybe you should know how to do the job before you take it.
Any other citizens' comments? Any other citizens' comments?
Yeah, I got one. Oh, my name's Pat Racquetball. I live on 3369 Loose Road.
What did you say your name was?
Pat, and his last name is Racquetball. I live on 3369 Loose Road. Okay, one thing is, I thank you for fixing my road after all these years of it was pothole and everything. The only thing that you did wrong is that the cops don't know if we're drunk driving or we're dodging pothole. but that's out of the way. The question is, I'm listening to you guys talk about your labor attorney. Don't you guys have a grievance procedure in your contract? You're supposed to be union. You should have a grievance procedure in there. You have a grievance procedure. No offense, I don't like lawyers. I'm the business agent for 10 years with the Carpenters Union. I don't like lawyers. To me, they're overpriced and they're bottom feeders. You have a grievance procedure. Use it. You're going to end up like the city of Flint, spending all this money on legals that doesn't need to be spent. I mean, look at the city of Flint now. They can't even have a friggin' meeting. You guys, I hope to think we're better than that. I mean, that's why you're elected here, because we figure you guys are better than that. All right? Now, if you should look in your contract and see if you have a grievance procedure. Now, a grievance procedure works. If you follow a grievance procedure, the only thing a lawyer is going to do is try to spend money out of somebody because they know they're not going to win. So, I mean, that's up to you. You guys want to spend money on lawyers, that's fine with me. But don't spend my tax money on lawyers. Spend it out of your pocket, not mine. Follow your grievance procedure, follow your contract, and you won't have these problems. All right? Thanks.
Anyone else wishing to make public comments? Anyone else wishing to make public comments? I'll close public comments. Next item on the agenda is fire chief report, and there is the fire. Police chief.
Good evening, board.
Good evening.
First of all, I just want to say Friday we had our Shop with a Hero at Walmart in Clio. Station 2 reached out and allowed the police department to go along with their Shop with a Hero program. So we tag teamed it. We had, I believe, 17, 18 kids. But I want to thank Melissa. I want to thank Melissa Rogers back there in the corner. She spearheaded the entire thing. She did a fantastic job. She got all the kids and the parents there, had everything set up. Walmart had gift bags for all the kids, and it went very, very smoothly. So I just want to thank Melissa for that. Then also this morning, I met with the clerical staff in the police department. I did receive a letter of resignation from Sasha Cole. Sasha will be leaving us, going to Davison Township Police Department, where she'll be making about $4 an hour more. So she did, in her letter of resignation, her last day will be December 27th. So I'm just asking the board to accept her letter of resignation.
Motion?
No, I just received it this morning.
So moved.
Support.
Any further discussion? Have a motion by Loper, supported by King, to accept the letter from Sasha Cole that she will be resigning effective December the 27th.
Chief, is that a full-time position?
That she's taking?
No,
Or the one she's
that
leaving?
she's leaving.
Yes, it is a full-time position. December 27th will be her final day.
Any further discussion on the motion? Roll call?
Myself, yes. Mr. Mays,
Yes.
Jonna,
Yes.
Dora,
Yes.
Loper,
Yes.
Baxter,
Yes.
Green.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
So next, I'm asking the board's permission to post for that position that Sasha will be leaving, so we can fill that spot.
Support.
Have a motion by Gina, supported by Loper, to allow the chief to post that position. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Mays.
Yes.
Jonna.
Yes.
Dora,
Yes.
Loper,
Yes.
Baxter.
Yes.
Green.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Motion carry 7-0.
All right. And yes, our officer, our recruit that is currently in the police academy, Daniel Webb, he'll be graduating December 19th, and that's at Mott College. Webb? Yes. So I invite all of you to attend that graduation there at Mott College. It's a really good event, and be able to meet him.
Tell me again, I'm writing as fast as I can. The date?
December 19th.
19th. Thank you.
Yes,
Do you
ma'am.
have a time, sir?
I want to say 1 o'clock, but I'll get back to you on that.
Thank you.
And that's all I have.
Board comments. Mr. Mays.
I have none at this time.
Thank you. Gina?
I think this item for Miss Beckett, I passed out the resume was left off the agenda. I had it added onto the agenda at the beginning of the meeting. So I just need a motion to hire Miss Beckett for a temporary cashier position, full-time, until the possibility of my other full-time person will be coming back in January at a rate, not in the union, but at a rate of $20 per hour, no benefits, just
You said part-time?
full-time. I'm
So it's
sorry, I
full-
need her full-time,
And who is this? I
but it's
don't.
temporary as a cashier.
We gotta get it supported. So you made a motion. So your motion is to what?
To hire this person as a full-time cashier on a temporary basis until my other full-time person can come back. That's supposedly on family medical leave.
Do I have support in regard to the motion?
Yes, support, because I need to discuss this.
Okay.
You said full-time, temporary, cashier,
Yes.
and I have for some reason written down here January 21st. Is that
25th, I believe, is the return to work date for
Return
the
to-
other cashier.
okay?
So I just want her to, I don't know what the outcome is gonna be. I have no idea for the other full-time cashier.
So to confirm, we have a full-time out, a full-time cashier out, and you want to get a full-time cashier temporarily to take that person's spot until she returns.
Correct.
Thank you for that clarification.
No, do we require background check? Anything like that?
Do we? For the
Okay.
cashier?
Speak up a little louder.
No, I was just thinking.
I
do we-
can, I can
do
have
we-
her come in for one
Do
tomorrow.
we do a background check is all. I'm just, doing messing with
Doesn't
Kat.
necessarily need to start tomorrow. It would be helpful, but I mean, as soon as her background clears, I can have her come and see Beach.
And who is she?
She's an associate that
January.
sent
Hmm.
an acquaintance, and she sent her resume. She's actually overqualified for the position.
Was that in our packet?
No, it wasn't.
Oh, okay, that's what you were.
I had just found out from Sonia that she's gonna be gone for the next
So
3
forgive
days.
my confusion because I'm like, I
That's
don't know who
why.
this is. Okay, thank you.
I'm lost too. I'm trying to catch
We've
up.
had a lot that happened.
Right, I'm trying to
from the
get
very
caught up.
beginning
So
of the
we're
meeting.
okay. So we have our full-time person on board, so we're good with that. And we still have one that's out, and then the other part-time the other cashier you found out today. I'm trying to figure out what
As
is.
far as Sonia,
Yes.
Sonia is gonna be gone for the next 3 days,
Oh,
and
she
then
won't
she's got time off. Yes.
And she won't come back until January 21st.
Right. And Sonia also does other things with IT and everything else. And this way I'll have somebody two people at the window when we have lines coming in for the taxes.
But I thought we had approved Sign to be there with 60 days with you.
We
did.
So we want to hire somebody additionally.
Sonia's been more of dealing with water and sewer issues and other issues.
But
as
not
they're
at the
coming through.
window. Is that what I'm hearing you?
Correct.
Okay.
I mean, she's covered today for lunch. But there are other things that are coming up that she's working on too, and issues with BSNA. And she's also catching me up to speed on the tax programming and things like that. So
So we're gonna
So,
have,
so Sonia's more or less training you for some of the things that you need to do, water, sewer,
yes,
taxes.
she's doing that, and she's fielding some of the specific calls. I just had the water and sewer lady out last week from the county, and she was very helpful with Ginger and Mr. Holmes and I, as far as some of the different reporting things. But yeah, she's doing that more or less. So it would be better to have a full-time cashier that can handle the checks and cash, just like Gina's.
so you don't need her no more? You don't need her Sonya no more? That's what you're saying?
No, I do need her. She's off all the rest of this week and she has other intermittent time offs where she's coming in early, she's leaving late. Her scheduling, she gave me a stack of scheduling changes last Thursday. So this is gonna help me support until my ill employee can return.
I have a question. So if Sonya she's just off for these 3 days and then she's gonna come back intermittently. She'll be back, but she'll be working, doing different things, but not assigned to you on a full-time basis. I guess my question, board members, is why bring another full-time in? Why don't we just do part-time? That's what I'm saying, because you got Sonya. I thought Sonya was gonna be gone is the reason why you asked that. That's what I thought.
On the rest of the week, so.
Oh, if it's just the rest of the week, that's what I'm asking. That's why I'm looking a little
And
confused.
during the holiday and following the holiday in January.
I think it's never that crowded those times. I think we can, me personally, I think we can get through until you need to get what you need to get
It's
done.
not your department. When we have long lines and people are trying to pay cash
I'm just
and
saying,
checks.
I'm just saying from what I witnessed for 4 years, is
Okay.
that it usually is dead around holiday time.
Okay, well then, if Sonya is still gonna be in office, can't she just pitch? You know what they say in baseball, pitch it? Yeah, y'all know. My husband knows. Pitch it. That's what I'm saying. I can't think of the
She does
baseball
pitch it,
term.
and she does
Pinch it,
help.
pinch it. That's what I'm trying to say.
The board at the last meeting assigned Sonia to the treasurer to use to assist the cashier collecting money.
Okay.
Now, in the past, if something was happening where that individual was off a couple of days, the deputy treasurer and the treasurer also took cash to fill in for those offsets. And what I'm hearing here is, I'm not gonna go take cash from the residents, but I'm the treasurer and I need somebody else because she's gonna be gone 3 days. I don't feel what she's requesting is justifiable. We've already extended the hand and to allow the use of other employees to fill in that gap. On the pay sheet, she allotted 4 hours OT for
Jean could not get a break.
the individual to
required
take, I have
take
the
a
floor,
lunch.
ma'am. To allow for the head cashier to work through her lunch hour. And I told her that she could put Sonia in there and let her go to lunch, or they both go at the same time. Manage that position that says, you're gonna go this time, the other's gonna go that time, so like a service job or citizen. I feel this is not warranted. That's the only thing I'm gonna say about it.
And I have a
Any
question.
further discussion?
If I may,
Yes, ma'am.
the other full-time that
The other
that
full-time
we have,
position, I have not received any documentation on. I only received an email from our designated HR person that person's return to work date is January 25th.
do you have any idea who approved that leave?
I have no idea.
When someone files to go on sick leave, it falls under the confidential information. She filed for sick leave. Okay, and then the paperwork from the doctor is there showing that she's on sick leave. Will be returning on the 21st.
Did you see that document? I didn't.
So consequently, confidential information is not shared with everybody in regards to why.
No, I
you're
didn't.
on
I didn't
sick
ask
leave.
why.
That's what she's asking.
No, I
and
didn't.
said,
No,
though.
I'm saying
I
I
didn't
didn't
ask.
see any
So
information.
consequently-
I don't even know if
so
it exists.
Consequently, I still feel that this is unwarranted.
Well, for the reason where I'm gonna have one cashier and I'm gonna have people coming in paying taxes. I may or may not have Sonia at the front desk. I mean, citizens, if you're gonna have to wait, it's not for my lack of trying to have a temporary cashier in place.
I guess I'm still, why is Sonya not going to be able to help? I guess that's what I'm trying to glean
'Cause
from this.
During the holiday, people
Uh-huh.
take time off and she's taken quite a bit of time off. So I'm just trying to get ahead of that.
Okay, okay.
She's
that's
not
it.
going to be a permanent employee. She's just going to be here temporarily to fill in, and she can get a police check in a couple days, so we can get that covered.
Any further discussion on the motion? Roll call.
Jonna?
Can you repeat the motion?
The motion is to hire
Hire Holly
Holly
Beckett
Beckett.
as a full-time cashier.
You are not in charge, okay? The question is asked. I'm repeating the motion. That is my job.
Okay.
Thank you.
Up to it. It's all right.
In regards to the request is to hire Holly Becky as a full-time employee, as a cashier in the treasurer's office to the 26th of
25th.
January.
Is it too late for me to comment?
No?
So my question is, the one person right now, how many people are we paying? How many people are we? I'm just asking a question. How many people are we paying?
We're paying the
cashier-
treasurer,
for
we're
cashier? No,
paying
I'm just saying for cashier.
the
We
cashier.
have one full-time cashier, and we have Sonia as a backup.
And we have somebody on leave that's also getting paid.
So we paying 3 people right now. 4. I mean, I guess I could. Okay, let's vote.
Any further discussion? Motion is to hire Holly Becky full-time until the 25th of January for the treasurer's office as a cashier. Any further discussion? Roll call.
John?
Yes.
Dora?
No.
Loper?
No.
Baxter?
No.
Green?
No.
Myself, no. Mays?
No.
Motion fails. That's it.
Mr. Allen?
I'd like to thank everybody for coming out, and everybody be safe. That's all I have.
Ms. Loper?
I do. I had some things that I had planned to say, but I'm going to maybe just do a quick synopsis here. Board members, you all received an email. Every person received an email. And the email addressed the things that I had said 2 Mondays ago. And I'm just going to highlight one of the things, and it kind of disturbed me, was that the email stated that threatening any members of the board with the recall if they voted to support a contract was appalling, and that each member of the body is entitled to their vote. Making threats or accusations to intimidate a public official to vote in a certain way should never occur. First of all, recalls are real. If you don't believe me, look at what's happening in the city of Flint. They just recalled the one guy. Unfortunately, he passed away. Currently, 5 members are up for recall, and on last Friday, they had 9 petitions to recall the mayor. They've recalled the mayor before. So you say, okay, that's Flint. But let me take it a step further. Last year, 6 township officials in Big Rapids faced recall. 5 officials in Green Charter Township in West Michigan also faced recall. I didn't say that because I'm trying to threaten and intimidate anybody. I simply made sure that the people know that we're taking our vote serious, and we understand that just like they put us in here, they have that right to vote us out. It's really real. I don't care what the motion is. If it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. I voted no for some things just a few minutes ago that didn't make sense to me. It's not personal. It's about being financially responsible. The other, I just got to go there with that. The other thing was, and I need to just kind of preface this. I sat down with Mr. Green on Wednesday, right before I went to Bible school. And I sat with him for about 45 minutes, Mr. Green. And about that time. And we talked about how we could move the township forward and getting on one accord. And I said, okay, let's talk about some things I agree with, some things I didn't agree with. But this last part of this, now everybody received this. This is all about what I said, okay? Making false claims against me, inciting violence against me and my family will not be tolerated. I agree. Nobody should be tolerated with that. But let me just set the record straight. When I walked out of here Monday, no sooner before I could get to my car, my husband was parked right by me. Somebody walked right past me and called me out of my name. I didn't even acknowledge it. And they know who they are because it's sitting right in here. We have to be walked out of this building with the chief looking at us to make sure we get to our cars. This is not one time. It happens all the time. We have people putting all kinds of things on Facebook about us. When we had Clarissa Shields come in, we had people saying, oh, this is not a board thing. We had board members that gave $500. She had to come here and explain that toward that event. We wanted to have a meet and greet on Coldwater Road, right down the street from where I live. We were threatened to the point that we had to have Police Chief Veach come and address it. We end up hiring private security just so we could have a meet and greet for the residents in which we live in. So no, I don't condone that. But when we talked about Friday, I said, Mr. Green, you need to look at the lens that I look through. I said that, and I said that this is a prime example. First of all, the fact that I got this letter, all of us, that speaks volumes right then and there. So when I say that, I'm saying, I know the lens you're looking at, but you need to look at the lens of the things that's been happening in this township for the last 4 years. It's a lot of things that's going on. And if we're going to heal, change does not come from somebody changing the seat. It's going to have to come from within. Okay? And that's what I was talking about, looking at the entire lens. I'm not trying to threaten anybody or intimidate. I am one vote, and I am going to speak every single time I think something does not make sense. I don't care who put it up for the motion. I'm going to say no. It didn't make sense for that particular incident then, and it still doesn't. Some of the things that was brought to the board now didn't make sense today, and I didn't vote for them. Board members, if me saying how I feel about a vote that is not financially responsible, or I don't vote for it, is intimidating or threatens your right to vote, then you need to recheck why you're on this board. Because we made an oath to these people. I live out here. I pay my taxes out here, and I'm going to vote what I think is financially responsible. Mr. Green, I want to thank you because it was questioned about the fact that I asked about us getting our board package at 420. I can't make this up. Everybody got it. And I'm thinking, I know we don't have a rule. That's why I asked for it. So I want to thank you because we got our board package at 8:30. At 8:45, I was on the phone with him, calling.
Michelle, that had nothing to do with him.
It was you?
That's correct.
Oh, Dwayne. Come on, Dwayne. But the point I'm making is, if we gonna come together, look at the whole entire lens, everybody, and not who's sitting in these seats. And for me to get that letter to outline everything I said, unacceptable. Unacceptable. I'm sure you've never gotten a letter like that because you disagree with a vote. It shouldn't have happened. I wish everybody Merry Christmas. I truly hope that we can come together. But again, the change is not going to happen. Oh, this a new board. I hope everything will be different. No, change does not happen because we have a new board. Change happens from within. So Merry Christmas to everybody, and thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. Well, I have other things on my list, but I got to back up and work on what Michelle just said. Michelle, too, because I was floored, too, when I got this. Because my first question was, did we pay you to go and make that letter? Were you on the clock when that went down?
We got it on clock
We
time.
Sure did. We got it on clock time. And then to call
Yes.
somebody out for intimidation when the police chief got to, on a regular basis, push somebody back up off of this board, and it's not any of us.
That's
okay?
right.
Got a lot of nerve. That's all I can say. I'm going to move on because I'm not going to let you get under my skin tonight. I would like to thank from the bottom of my heart, Miss Oliver, the fire department, and the police department for caring enough about our little guys to make sure that they got some a trip out to Wally World, and I can already see the excitement. But I know for a fact what Miss Melissa did before they even got to go to Walmart. And some of the things that he did. This young lady has worked for a long, long time, for many, many years, for the betterment of our community. And I want to say thank you, ma'am, for all that you do. I do want to say that being on the Planning Commission, there are some businesses that have just been approved by the Planning Commission that you should be keeping your eye out for. We have a really nice 7-Eleven and Speedway, multi-million-dollar project going up. We have a used car lot and minor repair shop opening, and we have a Smoothie King opening, which is great for all of us. This is the economic development that we were talking about. But I did say when I had my meeting with the supervisor that I love past Pearson Road, but I sure do like North Saginaw Street too. And I'm just saying that's where my business lays. And it's not that I don't want Pearson Road to be fantastic. I do a lot of shopping over there, but I sure would like to see North Saginaw develop too. And it is a part of our township, even if it is just one side of that. Other than that, I would like to say Merry Christmas to one and all. I hope you all have a beautiful holiday. Thanks a lot.
Mr. Baxter.
Also, I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. It seems like it was already a while ago. Time goes by really quick. My parents always inform me as you get older, time will fly by. And I'm at that point, and it seems like yesterday it was summer. But also be careful. I drive truck for a living. Last Thursday, the roads were pretty bad. And, it's always that first bad weather where you see a lot of incidents. Just be careful. I hope everybody has a good Christmas and New Year's. And also just to piggyback, like Mrs. Loper was saying, is that I've said it before too, there's 7 of us up here. We're not going to agree probably 80% of the time, or maybe we'll agree 100% of the time. But we have different opinions, and you don't have to agree with it, but you should respect our decisions.
Exactly.
I mean, and if you don't, and we are subject to recall or vote us out. We're not always, we're not Thanksgiving dinner. I'm sure there's arguments at Thanksgiving dinner with family. We're not family. We're elected officials that we try to get along, but I do respect another board's member's decision. And I'm not going to call them out, and you might not like it, but that is their decision that they make, and they have a different set of lenses that they're looking through. And so we'll work through it, and we'll continue, and hopefully the next several board meetings, that things will start to go smoother. But other than that, enjoy this holiday season coming up, and I wish you all the best.
I want to thank everybody for coming out. Wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a safe New Year's. In regards to recommendations to board positions, appointments, in regards to the Planning Commission, Land Bank, Fire Committee, Metro Planning Commission, Gang Bank, Water and Sewer, I-69 Corridor, 911, I will be contacting board members to see if they would like to be on these through the upcoming couple of weeks. And at the next regular board meeting, I will present to the board the positions that people feel they would be comfortable in working at. And we have 2 vacant positions on the Planning Commission, and I'll be making recommendations in January to fill those 2 vacant positions. And I wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and enjoy the holidays and stay safe.
Motion to adjourn.
Roll call.
Ms. Dora.
Yes, sir.
Hooper.
Yes.
Baxter.
Yes.
Green. Myself, yes. Mays.
Yes.
7-0.
Go ahead.